Hello and welcome to the Xero training session for businesses in the retail sector. My name is Alice Davichak and I am the Managing Director of Business Engine Room. We are an accountancy and business consultancy practice in Leicester. I'm a Chartered Management Accountant and a Certified Xero Partner. Today's training will focus on the overview of Xero, recording daily sales, recording national lottery, PayPoint, PayZone and ePay, which are specialist transactions characteristic of the retail sector. We'll look at recording purchases and expenses, banking and bank reconciliation. The first thing we'll consider is the general overview of Xero. When you first log into the Xero account, this is the screen that you will see. It's called a dashboard. You will see on the left hand side a number of boxes. One of them will be for your bank account. If you have more than one bank account, you will have more than one box. I have created a Barclays business account as an example, but obviously you will have your bank's name up here. One of the unique features of Xero is that you can connect Xero through your online banking to your bank and allow Xero to download the transactions which normally appear on your bank statement. Some of you may be worried at this. Xero is a piece of accounting software. It's not banking software, so you can't actually do any banking through it. All you're allowing Xero to do is to download your bank statements. You will see a Get Bank Feeds button here, and this is what allows you to input your internet banking details and connect a bank feed to Xero. Okay. Many retail businesses operate in cash. You receive a lot of cash and you pay for a lot of purchases with cash. So a separate account is created called cash. Treat it as a bank account, just a different type of bank account. I find it useful to think about a bank account and a cash account as two jars of money. One sits within your bank and the other one sits perhaps under your desk in the shop or in your till. So the cash account represents your till and the bank account is the money that comes in through the bank or comes out or goes out through the bank. Once we've entered some transactions, the third box on the bottom, which says track your cash flow, will show you a bit of a graph that shows how much cash you're coming in and how much cash is going out, just to give you a visual representation of where you are with your business in terms of cash. On the right hand side, we have an account watch list. This here. You can tag any accounts that you'd like to appear here, and basically all this creates is a bit of a spot check on where you are with any particular account. So I have selected owner's drawings, sales, standard rated purchases and zero rated purchases as some examples of accounts I'd like to keep an eye on when I log in. Your dashboard will show you the balance this month, and it will also show you the balance year to date. Okay. To record any transactions, in Xero you will have a number of ways to do the same thing. To keep things simple, I will show you one way, but no doubt the more you use Xero, the more ways you will discover to record your transactions and keep your bookkeeping sort of as customized to your needs as you want to. So for example, if I need to record a transaction that's gone through my bank account, I will select a Manage drop-down option list, and under New I have three options: Spend money, Receive money and Transfer money. These are the three options you will use most often to either record the receipt of money, your sales, your income, commission, or spend money. So this is where you pay your bills or purchases or even pay yourself. The same thing can be found in cash under New, Spend, Receive and Transfer. So when you record transactions, it's important to think about whether this is a cash transaction or whether this is a bank transaction, and select the right account for you to use. Alright, we'll start with recording of daily sales. In retail businesses, there are several sources of income. Obviously, you will have your daily takings. You will also have commission that you receive from Camelot, which runs National Lottery. You'll have commission perhaps for sale of mobile top-up cards. Elite is one of the providers that may send you a commission check. You will have a commission for the use of ATM if you have ATM on your premises. And if you run any of the schemes like PayPoint, PayZone or ePay, then you will get commission from them too. The actual cash is received in different ways. So the method of recording all of this is quite unique and different. And we'll go through all of this one by one really. So we'll start with sales, or otherwise called gross daily takings or gross daily sales. It's receipts from sales of goods in the shop. That's what it includes. Some people record any receipts that they get via credit cards, i.e. when your customers pay by credit card separately. Your gross daily takings or gross daily sales should include the goods that you sell, however you receive money for this, whether it be cash, check or credit card. So your sales should include all of that. What you should exclude from the gross daily takings or gross daily sales are lottery sales, PayPoint, PayZone and ePay sales, because they're not really your sales. You receive commission for those transactions, but they shouldn't really be included in your gross sales. For those of you who use manual cash sheets, this will be the figure that you record on your cash sheets. Okay, I will take you through how to record a gross daily sale. We always record gross daily sale as a cash item, even if some of it is paid by credit cards or checks. Otherwise, things can get quite complicated. So we go to Manage drop-down box and select Receive Money. You will have a new screen to record your daily sales in. Please note that you need to record your sales once a day and use one of these forms per day because they're all dated. They will all have unique date on them. So to record a gross daily sale, I'm just going to put gross daily sales as a customer, and we'll pretend it's the 1st of April. From the items list, select GDS, gross daily sales. This is something that has been preset for you, so you don't need to worry about the description. You also don't need to worry which account it comes from. I have set the gross daily sales to no VAT. The reason for this is that the calculation of the VAT due is quite complex in the retail schemes. So initially we set all sales to no VAT, and then your accountant will calculate the proportion of your sales on which VAT is due. Okay, so the actual amount of sales is recorded in this box in unit price. And we'll do a couple of examples here. The first one we'll do for £540 and 12 pence, just as an example. You can save this if you're finished entering sales, or you can save and add another, and that's what we're going to do, save and add another, just so you can see a couple of sales being entered. Okay, gross daily sales, and let's say this is for the following day, and my next day sales were a bit better, 674.59 for example. What I'd like to show you is what impact this has on the cash account. So I'll go back to the dashboard, and my cash account, which had no money in it at all before we entered our transactions, now has a balance of £1,200. And what this shows, if I go to manage account transactions, just to have a look what's in there, I can see my two items, gross daily sales received, in here. Okay, so this is how you record gross daily sales. The next item we're going to look at is recording National Lottery, which is administered by Camelot. Okay, so what is it? It's receipts from customers for lotteries, scratch cards, etc. It includes two things. It includes the amount to be collected by Camelot from your bank, and it includes any commission that you as the shop owner will retain. How the money comes in: customers can pay you by cash, cheque or credit card, and Camelot collects their proportion by direct debit from the business bank account. Okay, so I will show you an example of how we record National Lottery. There are two transactions. The first transaction is when you receive cash from the customer. So we select the cash account, there we are. Okay, we select the cash account and we select receive money because we've received money from the customer. And we will put Camelot on here. As an example, we'll put 1st of April. There are two items to record. The first one will record the commission. And our Camelot commission is here, National Lottery Commission. On your Camelot invoice, or a pink slip if you still get those, it will be the total commission. It will probably be shown as a minus figure. In here you need to enter it as a positive figure. So in our example, let's assume it's £12.50. We'll code it to commission lottery. And then the second part of our transaction is the lottery due to Camelot. And the lottery due to Camelot, in our example, let's assume it's £112.50. And the account we select is National Lottery Payable. Sometimes these accounts will be preset, so you won't have to worry about them. But in my example they aren't, but these are the accounts we use to code the transaction. So what you will have received in cash is a total of £125, and this would consist of £12.50 of commission, which we record as income to us, really, and £112.50 as due to National Lottery for collection by direct debit. So that's the first bit of the transaction. The second bit of the transaction is recorded from a bank account because the payment to Camelot is taken from your bank account rather than from cash. So we will go to Manage, Spend Money, and it is Camelot. There we go. And they normally collect a couple of days later. So for example, let's put 4th of April. We'll select lottery due, and you will recall from the previous transaction the amount due is £112.50, and it will come out of the same account, National Lottery Payable. And we save this transaction. And these two transactions you will need to record once a week when you get your invoice. Normally it's a Sunday that the invoice comes out. So these are the two things you will need to record from your National Lottery invoice. Okay. A couple of other things in terms of income. One is commission paid by check. We talked about Elite being an example of the company that pays commission by check. Again, the rationale is exactly the same. Now it's a check, so it will be deposited in your bank account. So we go to the bank account, manage, receive money. And here we will put Elite. Let's say 7th of April. And what we will choose is commission mobile top-up. And let's say the amount is £13. Commission mobile top-up is the account. We'll click Save. Exactly the same rationale applies if you receive commission directly into your bank account. So one example of this is PayPoint commission, for example. Again, because it comes directly into the bank account, we use the bank account, manage, receive money, PayPoint, and we'll use, let's say, 15th of April. There's commission, PayPoint commission. Commission, PayPoint. In the account, sometimes the items here are set up to have the account. I'm not sure why mine have disappeared, but even if they're not here, it's quite easy to find the correct account. You just start typing the name and Xero will suggest the accounts that have that name in. So we'll record that transaction. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is recording PayPoint, PayZone and ePay. Now PayPoint and PayZone operate in a similar way in that you receive the cash from customers and then PayPoint or PayZone take the same amount from your bank account. So in effect, it operates as banking really. So again, two transactions to record in cash, very similar to National Lottery. We receive money and it will be received, let's say, from PayPoint. Just for the sake of the argument. And we will use, there we are, PayPoint, receipts. Oh, this one has the account, which is great. Let's assume it's £202.50. So we have received this from our customers as cash. And then the other side is exactly the same, apart from it comes out of the bank account, because that is how PayPoint collects its money. So we go to the bank account, spend money, PayPoint. I can't remember what date we entered, but let's say 9th, for example. So there's our PayPoint, and the amount will be exactly the same, 202.50. Because remember, PayPoint takes its fee separately and pays its commission separately. So the money you receive and the money they collect from the customer or from you it is exactly the same amount. The way PayZone operates is exactly the same. ePay is more complicated. It involves a number of transactions, and what we ask you to do as our clients is record the amounts collected by ePay by direct debit and code them to ePay payable. And then ePay will send you monthly statements, upload them to Xero library, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, and we'll take care of the rest because it is quite convoluted in terms of how these transactions work. Now, I won't show you how to record amounts from ePay right now, because we'll come to that later when I talk about the bank reconciliation. In terms of how to upload your ePay statements, in the top right hand corner, one of the buttons you will see, the one that looks like the folder, is actually Xero Library. Now there are two things in Xero Library. One is this long email address, which what I suggest you do is copy and paste into your email software. If you use Outlook or if you use Hotmail, create a new contact called Xero Inbox with this email address. Any documents that you send to this email address will appear in this library. It is a bit like an inbox. You can store all manner of documents in here. You can also attach the documents to your transactions, but for the purposes of ePay, you should get an email with 5 or 6 attachments. Just forward it on to Xero Inbox with this address, and each organization has a unique address, so Xero knows where to deposit the documents. Your accountant will see them, and we will take care of the rest. Okay. Recording purchases and expenses. It's probably best explained on a couple of examples. Purchases are goods bought for resale, so it will be usual supplies like Booker, Hyperama, Costco, Smith's News, etc. Expenses will be everything else that you pay for in the course of running your business, like your accountancy fees, utilities, etc. Okay, the way we record purchases, I'll just run through a couple of examples. So for example, you went to Hyperama, you paid in cash, and now we need to record the invoice. So we go to cash account because you paid in cash. We go to spend money. Hyperama. If this says new contact, that just means that Hyperama hasn't been created as a contact. Click on the new contact, and next time you type it, Xero should suggest the correct name for you. Okay, let's say it was on the 3rd that you went, and you bought standard rated goods. Because for the purposes of bookkeeping, we need to distinguish between standard rated and zero rated goods. So for standard rated goods, either use the drop down box or just type SR. Oops, try again. There we go. Standard rated purchases, and let's say you spend £256.50. For some reason, all of my accounts disappeared. When you log into your software and you select an item, the account will be there automatically, but for some reason mine don't appear at the moment. There we go. Standard rated purchases is what we want. On standard rated purchases, there is a 20% VAT. So the VAT is calculated on the figure that you've entered here. This is because over on the top here, tax exclusive is selected. You can also select tax inclusive, and what Xero will do is take the unit price here as the total amount, and it will calculate the VAT element of this amount. So in this case, we will select tax exclusive, and we'll save. Another example that I want to show you is a mixture of Xero and standard rated goods. Right, we'll go through dashboard again just for consistency's sake. So spend money. Let's say we went to Booker, and on 7th of April we bought a combination of Xero rated goods, and you will see the tax rate, under the tax rate it will automatically pre-fill the Xero rated goods and our zero rated goods were, let's say, 76.90, and standard rated goods, let's say they were 257.15, just for the sake of the argument. Obviously all of this information will be on your invoice. So what the software will do is calculate no VAT on zero rated goods, but calculate VAT at 20% on standard rated goods, and you can check that this is the amount you have actually spent. The third example I want to go through with you is Smith's News, and this one is a bit of a special case. Normally you will have a mixture of standard rated and zero rated goods on the Smith's News invoice, and it's quite often paid from a bank account, so we'll go from a bank account, spend money, Smith's News, okay. So again, as an example, in this example here, what we will deal with is the credit vouchers. Now, credit vouchers are your sales or your takings, and we need to record them as such, even though they are zero rated. The way that Smith's News pays them is basically as a discount on your normal bill. So what we need to do is add the amount of credit vouchers to the total payment. If you're paying by direct debit, this will be the amount at the very bottom of your invoice, and this is the amount due for your purchases, which then we'll need to break down. From the tax breakdown, we need to identify VAT and total standard rated supplies. We need to subtract the VAT and standard rated amounts from the result in one above. And the remaining figure will be your zero rated supplies. Just look at an example. If the total bill that you're paying to Smith's News is £420 and the amount of credit vouchers is £89.15, VAT 115, standard rated goods is £5.75. This is quite often the case if it's the delivery charge and VAT on the delivery charge. We calculate the zero rated goods amount as follows. We sum the total with the amount of credit vouchers, so this is your true bill, and then we subtract the standard rated and the VAT amounts to get our zero rated goods. So to record this transaction, what we do is start with standard rated purchase. It is £5.75. The VAT is calculated automatically here at 115. Then we need to input our zero rated purchases, which we've just calculated as 502.25. However, this is not what we paid. We paid £420, and the reason we paid less is because of the credit vouchers. We've set up the credit vouchers item here for you. So to make the books balance, you need to enter the credit vouchers with a minus sign, minus 89.15. So think of it as a discount, and this will give you the total 420, which ultimately went out the bank. And we'll save that. Now, recording expenses is very similar to recording purchases. We just use slightly different codes. One example I want to use is recording a BT bill. We'll go to the dashboard, and out of a bank account, because we paid for it by direct debit, spend money, BT, and let's say that happened on the 4th. Now, expenses have not been set up as items because they're all quite unique. So if we write telephone bill, and it's sometimes useful to put some dates to it so you know what period it covers, and your accountant, more importantly, knows what period it covers. let's say we know that the total bill that's gone through is $45.99. Again, if you start typing the account, Xero will suggest the right account to you. Generally, all the accounts that start with the 4 will be your expense accounts. Okay, so to calculate the VAT, we know that the total was $45.99. Just change that to tax inclusive, and Xero will calculate the amount, $7.66, of the VAT. A final word really about drawings. If you draw the money out of business, whether it's by cash or by paying personal expenses through the bank, you record them in a similar way to expenses, except you code them to owner's drawings because they're not true business expenses, and they will actually appear on our account watch list at the top. So you'll see so far we've recorded 1,300 in sales and some standard rated and zero rated purchases. So it just keeps you, gives you this at a glance your balances in different accounts for the current month. So to record, for example, a personal mortgage that's paid out of a business account, we'll go to spend money, and let's say it's Santander that we pay a mortgage to. It is a mortgage on a personal or on your own house, so it's not a business expense. Again, I'm making updates as I go along, but obviously you'll have your actual transactions in front of you. Personal mortgage. Obviously there's no VAT because it's a personal expense, so owner's drawings is what we want to record. We want to make sure it says no VAT, and we'll hit save. One final type of transaction I'd like to cover today is banking. There are a couple of important points to make. Right, I'll scroll through these. These basically explain what I have shown you, so you'll have these notes for your use later on. So banking includes paying in cash. Let's say you go to the bank once a week, paying in the cash that you've collected. Transfer between bank accounts, and also customer payments made by credit cards. You'll recall that we have recorded all sales as cash, even though some of them have been made by credit cards. So when we do banking, this is how we recognize that not all of the payments have been received in cash. So when you pay in cash, we simply move money from cash to bank, because we have already recorded the receipt of, say, the receipt of cash or receipt of income. We just need to show the movement from cash to bank, and this is quite easy to do. And you can do this either from the bank account or from the cash account. It doesn't really matter. So if we start from the bank account, we go to transfer money. And we want to show accurately where we're transferring from and to. So we're transferring from cash to bank account, and we want to transfer it on, let's say, the 1st of April, and let's say you've deposited £1,000. Don't worry about the reference. We'll hit transfer. So that has now happened. And I'll record another one from the cash account to show you the difference. Again, it doesn't matter which one you select, because all it does is suggest the from account. So yes, from cash to bank, and our next one will be on the 5th of April, and let's say that's £500 transfer. If you go to Manage Account, Account Transactions, you will see all of our cash transactions in here, including our transfers into the Barclays business account on the 1st and on the 5th of April, as we've just recorded them. when you record credit card payments made by your customers, you do this as part of the bank reconciliation. I won't go through this now because we will cover this in just a minute when I talk to you about the bank rec. Now, bank reconciliation is arguably one of the best features. I find it quite enjoyable to do, and many of our clients do as well. So you can download the transactions from your bank account through a bank feed, as we've talked to before, and that needs, as we've talked about before, and this would need your internet banking login details. Or you can upload a file with your transactions, and we can help you do that if you can't or don't want to connect your bank feed to Xero. What you can do from the bank reconciliation screen, and just to show you the way we get into a bank reconciliation screen, is on your bank account box, you click Reconcile. Okay. There are a number of transactions. On the left-hand side are your bank statement lines. And on the right-hand side is what Xero thinks the bank statement lines match up with. So it will match on amounts, it will match on the description as well. If the transaction on the right is highlighted in green, then Xero thinks it's a match. If you think it's a match also, so we've got a cash deposit here and a cash deposit here, click OK, and both lines disappear. That means they have been reconciled. We've got a BT bill here, and that matches the BT bill we've input over here. You've got your PayPoint amount here. You've got Camelot. You've got another deposit, and you've got Elite payment. Okay, so there are a couple of other transactions that we have recorded and we can reconcile now. You'll recall your personal mortgage payment to Santander. So we've got it in Xero and we've got it on the bank, so we can click OK. That's my favorite bit. Ooh, there we go. And a payment to Smith's News for $4.20, and a payment to PayPoint. Now once you're done with all the green ones, you will have a couple of transactions or a number of transactions that need coding up. There is nothing in Xero that Xero has identified as matching transactions. So we have two which are EMS, and these ones are a particular credit card provider, credit card merchant provider. So these are your customers' payments to you by credit cards. Now, the way we record them, in the Who field, we record EMS. There we are. It basically is a transfer. Actually, I think what we're going to do is actually record it as a transfer. That might be simpler. Now we will transfer from cash, and here we can say credit card payment. And once we've coded it up, we can click OK. And one thing I want to show you as well is if you come out, for example, of the reconciliation, you go to dashboard, we have two items left. Okay, if we go back in, Xero should remember the choice that you've made before with a similar transaction. So if it sees EMS again coming through the bank statement lines, it will suggest to you that a transfer from cash perhaps is how you'd like to code it, because that's what you did last time. So credit card payment, and click OK. So the last thing we have is the ePay collection. You'll recall I mentioned this a few minutes ago, and the way we record that is ePay, and there should be an account set up which is called ePay payable. It is not here. Never mind. If you have ePay, you probably don't operate Payzone or a Pay Payable, but there should be an ePay Payable account in here. If there isn't one, contact us and we'll set one up for you. But now, for the sake of the demonstration, I'll select the Payzone Payable, but it should say ePay Payable, and just hit OK. Okay, so once you're all reconciled, Xero says great job, and your statement balance and your balance in Xero most often will match up. It is actually quite satisfying to know that your bank account is balanced up. You'll remember I mentioned the cash in and cash out box at the very bottom. This is what this looks like. At the moment, based on the transactions we've entered, this is your amount going in or coming in, £1,500, and amount going out is £1,900. So the cash in is more than the cash out. So you might be a bit cash short. But obviously these are all sample transactions, so not a lot to worry about. Also, the balance in Xero on the cash account should really be positive. If it's negative, that means you spent more cash than you've received. So there are probably some transactions you haven't recorded to show what cash you have received. Well, we're near the end now. The one final slide I want to show you is how to access support. From any screen in Xero, in the top right hand corner, you have a question mark. If you click on that, it should give you an option to ask my advisor, and it says send a question directly to your accountant. If you're ever unsure of anything, then type in your question, hit a send button, and it will send a question directly to your accountant. Equally, from a bank reconciliation screen, I've now reconciled all the transactions, but if the transaction is not reconciled, there is a tab that says discuss. You can type in your question there, click save, and your accountant will see any comments you made. So for example, you might want to say, I'm not sure how to code this. Can you advise? Click save, and then your accountant will see and will be able to answer in the same box. So next time you log in, you will see their answer and you will be able to code up your transaction. If all else fails, email me directly or email Natalia, who is one of our bookkeepers, or ring us on the phone, whichever is most convenient for you. We do expect quite a lot of questions at the beginning because we appreciate it takes time for you to get a hang of this. So do not hesitate to ask. Even if you think the question is silly, we will be more than happy to help. Well, this is the end of the presentation. We hope you enjoy Xero as much as we do, and we look forward to seeing you in future trainings. Thank you and goodbye.